This gentleman. You're doing a great job. We're live on the show, so we have to go to a certain
Thank you
period
very
of time.
much. I'm Alan Keysoder with CNO Resources. I wondered if you would comment on the film Control Room. Do you think it was a fair portrayal of Al Jazeera? Did you participate in making it? It obviously covered your terrain.
We did not participate, of course, in making it. It was actually during the war. It has introduced certain aspect that was seen by a foreign journalist who come to Al Jazeera. And some of the people at that moment in time seen Al Jazeera as something, black box, They don't understand what's happening there. They imagined journalists with long beards and, anchor women with headscarf sitting, trying to support Taliban and Saddam Hussein. Unfortunately, that was an image, because if you listen to what Mr. Ramsfeld had to say about us, it was really difficult to imagine a newsroom with people like every other newsroom, doing business like any other newsroom. So Control Room introduced that perspective about Al Jazeera, I must say. Natural, and they spent good time in the newsroom projecting that. Do I feel that it does represent Al Jazeera philosophy, Al Jazeera understanding of journalism? I'm not sure, but I can say it does introduce something different from the stereotyping and image that was, at that time, very common.
Yes.
My name is Mark Nadell. I have a question about whether you've reached out to schools, high schools, colleges, and if so, are there teachers who want to show your, sign watching a particular show or a particular issue, or is there resistance that you're showing facts and they need to learn what the government wants them to learn and not be confused by facts?
You mean here in the States or
No,
in the Arab world?
in Arab countries. Do you reach out, do you have relationships with schools, Department of Education, I guess, where, or individual schools where a teacher, I'm sorry, I guess I'm asking multiple questions.
Yeah.
Whether you're reaching out and whether you're aware that schools...
Actually, I would say Al Jazeera, definitely we speak to everyone, because our audience from every, sort of and rank of and age. However, also Al Jazeera launched in association with Qatar Foundation, Al Jazeera Children, which is supposed to target children and introduce educational programs to them. Qatar Foundation is the sole owner of it, but Al Jazeera also participated in forming and founding the channel. And we do try through, at this moment in time, few projects that we have in mind to speak mainly to people who are under 13 years old, especially children and youth, young people, either through the screen. By the way, Al Jazeera nowadays is not one channel. We have, by the end of this year, we'll have about 14 channels now. So we have various kind of channels, from sport to documentary to live, like C-SPAN channel, and we have many other channels as well that are under construction at this moment in time. So yes, we do target this sector of the audience through certain kind of programs and through certain kind of approaches. The education community, I think we don't have a specialized education channel, but we do engage them in discussion about crisis of education in the Arab world and the problems that they're facing. They are always represented on the screen, and we have some kind of discussion. But I cannot argue that we have specialized, directed channel towards the issue of education in the Middle East.
Let me just ask one question. I see Will Stebbins here, who's head of the bureau here in Washington, and I'm good at, lucky enough to be on the Al Jazeera English section. Sometimes I'm on Al Jazeera Arabic, and it is interesting because you walk around an Arab airport and people say, "Oh, aren't you that guy?" But I have noticed that your Al Jazeera Arabic content is largely completely separate from your Al Jazeera English content. What are the pluses and minuses of that? And do I have the right impression?
Yeah. Actually, we do have Al Jazeera Arabic targeting Arab audience in particular, wherever they are in the world. And we reach out to them all over the world. Arabic English is speaking to English-speaking, people. And I understand that the Arab world priorities of news will be different because eventually you are concentrating on issues related to their daily life, and some of them regard Al Jazeera as their domestic channel because you need to, meet certain needs, especially because of the lack also of other channels in their countries. Some of these countries are only governments are controlling channels. However, we decided from the beginning that Al Jazeera Arabic and Al Jazeera English, both of them, they will have the same spirit of reporting, but we will not have one common newsroom. You know, the priorities for Al Jazeera Arabic will be different from the priorities of Al Jazeera English. The same professional standards, same rules, and same understanding of journalism. And we have intensive discussion always between the two teams. We have one shared editorial board. We have most of our bureaus now talk to each other, actually not only integrated with each other, but again, we do not have Al Jazeera English as translation of what Al Jazeera Arabic has to say. And I think that is much more wise to have, because in my opinion, Al Jazeera English at this moment in time have succeeded in 2.5 years, 3 years only, to introduce something different and to conquer new territories. Now we have audience in at least 140 million households all over the world. And from South Africa up to Russia, we gain a lot of popularity and audience.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Jared Levy, Interpress Service. Two quick questions. Number one, I understand that Al Jazeera in Yemen just got into some hot water with somebody for the reporting you're doing in the south. Can you elaborate a little bit on where those threats came from and what's going on there? And number two, in terms of U.S. media, either print or television, who do you think is the most successful in reporting on the Middle East?
From? Sorry?
Which U.S. news outlet, either print or television, is the most successful in reporting on the Middle East?
Okay, thank you.
Good
You
luck.
are putting me in trouble. You know, first of all, in Yemen, unfortunately, during the last few days, we have faced difficulty with the opposition and with the government. So with the opposition, unfortunately, our reporters were attacked in the south from some angry mob. They're demanding that their voice should be heard immediately and so on and so forth. And that led to some kind of attack against them. And one of our journalists was injured. And on the other hand, we have received threats from the government to close down the bureau as well, because they felt that what we broadcast on Al Jazeera is inciting violence in the south. So we have pressure actually from both parties. Of course, the people in general are much more friendly than governments. But at that particular incident that you are referring to, it was actually from some angry demonstrators who attacked Al Jazeera, and then later on from the government as well, who threatened to close down. And they came out publicly demanding, some members even representing the ruling party, demanding from the parliament to issue a decision to close down Al Jazeera Bureau.
Is that still pending?
It is. Now we are actually continuing. So far, our bureau is still open and functioning with a lot of restraints, I must say. It is not freely that our correspondents and camera people could roam the country and film wherever they like. You know, there are a lot of restraints. Some of these images are confiscated, and some of these are not allowed to be broadcast to our headquarters. So we still face troubles in Yemen. But to go back to the second question, I cannot pick up one particular, you know, I read the blog, it's beautiful. And I read actually a few other blogging sites. You know, I feel that a lot of people are really brilliant and they are reporting the Middle East in particular with new alternative, different angle of reporting, not enforcing stereotyping and certain kind of thinking. And also, I look at, you know, some news, of course, CNN World, you know, is available. And we look at it, New York Times, we read as well, the New York Times always, I think a lot of our journalists do. So, I mean, we have different sources of in the States. Yeah.
Let me just take